created to have some fun together, sharing and singing. So, join and enjoy.
Our love for opera brings us together. Thanks for being with us in this trip.
Well, we are so happy now because we are over 2 years. You remember, Katya, I had already shared with you that it's been already 2 years that we started this season 8 with the most interesting coloratura roles in the season for the ornamentation and exaggerated notes that everybody loves. That's usually the case for this tessitura in the opera. And today we are attending a very, very, very interesting piece of music that was composed almost 300 years ago. We are going again back into the past, and the orchestras were not what we know now, where the tessituras singers were not what they are now, and also for many people in the hands of the great Handel, he was one, if not the beginner of the genre that we now call opera, and from his oratorio, very well known oratorio, Katya is going to be sharing for us Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion.
Rejoice, greatly, O daughter of Zion, Zion, O daughter of Jerusalem, rejoice, thy King unto thee. Unto thee.
This very interesting piece of music, which I think we better or we can start by asking you, Katya, how did it come into your hands? You were actually looking for uh, this music, which probably I don't know, or it was put in your hands by one of your singing teachers who said, Katya, this is something you have to have in your repertoire. How does it come, or how does it started calling your interest?
Oh my God. Probably you shouldn't be asking me that because it's a kind of nasty story. Well, as you can remember, I was taking my first singing lessons in a kind of very, very interesting school. It was like um, not a very professional way to study music, but there was a teacher there that was a very huge fan of Maestra Kathleen Battle. And certain date he told me, "Oh, I would like you to share this lovely CD, with you." And it was an album by Battle, and it was all about Baroque arias and music. So my first approach to this song was like that. I heard my first version with Kathleen Battle, and I fell in love with this song. Several years later, my teacher in the college told me that I should study this score, and well, I was delighted with the idea.
I think Kathleen Battle is a good idea for listening to this music because in a way she's the kind of voice we would expect for this kind of repertoire. Let's recall that Kathleen Battle is not a huge voice in terms of volume, so that's not you're going to expect from Kathleen Battle. Not a huge volume, but a very controlled technique. Even though
Yeah.
I don't find her voice mm, And again, this is the moment where thousands of people around the world are going to hate. I want to say that I find nothing spectacular in her voice. I mean, it's not like she had, I don't know what her high note is, but I feel like she can reach over a D. Probably she has some high type voice like this or many others who you know that have a very, very, very high note. I don't think she had those. She didn't have a good voice, but she had a very good technique. She most of the time, she's not all in control with which one appreciates when all the things we have shared in the past that the soprano loses control and instead of controlling the air is controlling her and she barely hits the note and loses the tempo, loses the intention and loses and doesn't even sync the pitch of the notes. So Kathleen Battle is like a very stable singer to call her somehow. A very I'm not sure if I would say crystalline voice, but a voice without imperfections. So I think her voice is very good for these small orchestrations where you can hear her voice and the instruments, and they do. This is not a fight between her volume and the volume of the accompanying music. I think, well, from my perspective, even having heard that CD, I think it worked. I'm not sure if you share my impression on Kathleen Battle of the Baroque.
Yes, totally agree. And something that I was checking these days because I heard several versions about this song, and in general terms, I've heard many singers. Oh my God, I don't know how to say it's because we have talked about this. There's no way to say this delicately, but they
Yeah.
sound. I'm sorry, but here I go. They sound like chickens. Rio, why the hell are you laughing? Sorry, but yes, the most of the singers that I've heard in many ornaments give that sensation to me. Rio, and I don't like that. But in Battle's case, um, her voice probably was well, no, I'm sure that she was the first voice that I heard doing this kind of ornaments, and that was my idea of a right ornament, and that's the way I try to sing mine. Rejoice, like more crystalline, like cleaner, like more pure, and not I don't like. Probably
It,
she's not that fast as some other singers are, but she doesn't sound like a chicken. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was thinking how you were going to explain something when the result is out there, because I didn't hear those many versions. Uh, and as we are going to progress in the revision again, apologies for what we are saying now. Also understand that Katia is a soprano, and of course she's now in the open with people listening to us throughout the world. And she could easily get in trouble because of what she says. So we have to understand that she wants to be politically correct, but there is sometimes when you cannot be politically correct when you listen to these versions and say, to start with, it comes from an oratorio, with a religious theme that is developing. So it's the other of Sion, and it has the content, or theme of religious nature of celebrating the positive deeds and the greatness of the God you believe in. One thing that you're not sing it as if you are a chicken, or as you were laughing, as you described, because the content has to, the way you have to do it has to be, first of all, respectful. This is not Rosina in Il Vero di Siviglia. This is not anyone else in a in another type of context or libretto. It is part of a great, probably for some people, the greatest religious piece that has ever been composed. For many people, the Messiah is the point of comparison to many other oratorios. So thinking that in mind, in fact, that was the first thing when I was reviewing some other performances, interpretation by other singers, that I said, okay, if I look at this lady and in a way, I'm going to say serious, but not serious as, square, no smile. I believe you can have a slight smile on your face because you're going to say something positive. Rejoice, rejoice, be happy, be happy. But still, it is part of a religious piece. So there is a limit. There is a limit, or there is a way of singing it without thinking, "Oh, I have all this ornamentation here, so that I can just," as we have discussed in the past. There is a love story that you love, admiring, birth, etc. But you sing as if you were singing Hamlet Metzing, which is not. Or you sing something else, and it is Lucia after having killed her husband. And it is not like that. You have, even if you notice the specialty of the coloratura sopranos, still have an effort to give some say believability, that it is believable what you're singing in the context of what you're singing. Because if you're going to sing this as if you were in Hoffman's, then it makes no sense. And again, I go back, it is disrespectful because this comes from a religious composition. So putting first in your mind that you have to be respectful, then the pyrotechnics are there, and probably, well, not probably, certainly you, Katia, you're aware that many compositions in the Baroque have these, um, yes, interesting ornamentations, but yet not so, I'm going to say exaggerated, but it is, but it is because you don't have sudden jumps of over one octave from the other. They are usually more discreet, closer in the distance of the range of what you are singing. Because, for instance, when you start in the rejoice in an uncomfortable re, which of course the sopranos do not stop long in the rejoice. Rejoice, 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 rejoice. That small ornament, which again requires, in my perspective, because it is written, requires a perfect pitch, a
Yes.
perfect attack of each of the notes. Because if you're going to jump from re to somewhere else in jo and then do something messy in between before you jump to gray, observe where you start, and the note you start with is the note you finish that phrase with. The re ends the same note as greatly, meaning Handel told you start here, do this, and go back to where you started. Which of course means that you know the value of the notes. I mean the pitch of the notes, because otherwise, because even from the first from the very beginning, when you know that the soprano is going to do something very messy, when she starts here but then ends somewhere else. Most of the times higher, nobody wants to go back to the same note that started. So when you know, you say rejoice and start losing the pitch somewhere in between, singing whatever the notes come, and finish it rightly somewhere else, you know that the soprano is not going to do a good job.
She
Basically,
didn't study this chord.
study score, or she found it too difficult uh, to adhere to. Because we have mentioned in the past, it's way easier to say, no, I'm going last note. If I am requested to sing this note, I rather do something else because I can, because that's what I
Yes.
can do. And since I am unable to bring my instrument to the initial note, then I am going to invent something else that people think I am a spectacular singer when it is the opposite. I am a very
Well, I mean, you
limited
should
technical
write your
singer.
own songs.
You should write yours. If you don't want to sing Handel, it's better go and write your own composition and name it the way you want. Because now we have after that, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice greatly. We have the playing of the rejoice. You see, this I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I should ask you, how would you call this effect? Because this rejoice, the way you're working with the gruppetti, it's like mm, how would you call this sensation in the ear? Like because it's not clear that it's not like a trill. The sensation is it's not a trill and it
No.
is not an ascending scale, but one feels like it is carrying you like this. How would you describe that effect in the audience?
I think that is a very well structured progression that guides you to the largest notes of the phrase, and you don't even know how you are going through this roller coaster and suddenly start to slow down because it's very well written. Rejoice, O daughter of Zion. It's a very clever passage.
And that is something that probably because, well, not probably, certainly because not many singers can sing this music. Uh, it's unfortunate that we don't have more of this music present at the concert halls because I think people would be then more used to. I don't know how you find Handel, but I usually find Handel like being very elegant.
Yes.
He has a way of doing things. He's not bel cantista because we have just starting, and you notice that this is clearly not bel canto. I was saying it is the beginning of the composition of the gender that later was going to be known as the opera. But notice that there is no. mm, there is not explicit adherence to the quality of the vocal of the vocals, not explicitly, but it is very implicit. Handel in this writing has said, I want a singer who can sing these notes, emphasizing these notes, not the notes she can sing, these notes. Because after playing with the rejoice, you say, "Oh, daughter of Zion, Zion." Sorry, in English, Zion. The way it's writing Zion, it's very clever, precise. Don't exaggerate in the notes. Don't extend the Zion because the music is, well, for those who can read the music, as you're wrapping up Zion, the music immediately is changed. Your ending is changed to the music that comes after, which means the music is in this part not an accompaniment of yours. Means you are doing your job tied to the music so that the whole concept is transmitted. It's not like I'm going to put these musicians only to be your accompaniment. It's like you, lady, have to sing it precisely as I wrote it because otherwise you're going to you're going to cross over with the music, and that's not what is intended. The intention after Zion is that the music continues. like takes it like da, 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 and the music takes it exactly where the singer finished, so that the idea can still be developed.
Yes, I think that we have a very interesting score in this point because we can see very very clearly two voices in this case responding each other. So you have to be respectful and careful and shut up to let the music be heard.
Yeah, what Maestro Handel is saying, you lady, or yeah, you lady, you are another instrument in this piece. An
Yes,
instrument who can speak, who can utter words, but you're just another instrument. So it's not shut up, but you do your stuff, but then let the other guys do their stuff as well. And also, particularly of the Baroque, besides that I love it, is that in that sense, yes, closer to the bel canto, it requires a line of singing that it's very pure in the quality of each of the notes. That being said, oh, da, this is going to be daughter, the first da, it's not the same sound in English. So even though they are different, it is still in the range between the A and the O, the A and the O in terms of sound. So, O daughter of Zion, rejo, now in a different type of voice again. Before you jump into your opening of rejoice, it asks you to again be a little playful, repeat rejoice, but now it has extended the ornaments longer. It's like other of Zion, rejoice, play longer, and then rejoice and play even longer, which means you are required to plan everything ahead. Because as we have mentioned in the past, and thanks God, it is for the sopranos, not only you have to be clear, perfect in the attack of each of the notes and pitch, but also you need to be a very good planner. Because if after the second rejoice you fall out of breath, and people realizes the third rejoice is going to sound like, oh yeah, but she didn't have breath, and so the maestro had to stop a little so that the instruments and the voice fall together. Because as we have also mentioned in the past, the music continues. And the maestro, the orchestra director, is expecting you to be able to sing what you were written, right? If you were expected to take your breath, it's not like you are going to stop. Because if you look at the music, and sometimes it is not that simple, but if you notice and you read, this is a reduction to piano, but if you notice the reduction to piano, while the lady is making her ornamentation and taking these small pauses, there is no pause in the music. The music is going on. So you are expected to sing along with the music in that amount of time and be able to do all these ornaments, which again are not challenging in terms of height. It's not Olympia again touching the D's and the E's and falling down to the A and then jumping to the stratosphere. It is in a more modest extension, to say it so. It's not requesting or asking, demanding the soprano to be in the highest range, but it's pushing her into her middle and middle low, which has never and will never be a comfortable area for any coloratura soprano. But Handel doesn't care. Handel says, okay, you lady, go and kill it. Go and do it.
Try your
Having
best.
said, try your best. Having said that, how do you suggest, Katia, rejoice like this? Rejoice longer. And the third rejoice, rejoice. It's like the triple of the first one. How do you suggest people approaching this one to plan for those?
Well, I've heard that many singers are in the need to take a breath in the third rejoice, the largest phrase, And I think that if you are in the case that you really have to take air because you have to, um, try to study the best moment to take air, and don't pull it like just let some air gets into your mouth so you can't recover the phrase as fast as possible. Honestly, I didn't need to breathe. I could make the phrase in an entire breath, just taking this respiration before the third rejoice. So it's human possible to do that, but I know that we don't have the same. Oh, I forgot the word. Oh my God, help me. Fiato. We
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
always the same fiato. So if you have to breathe, yes, you can. Practice. We don't have the same needs and the same skills. So check where's your best point to take this air that you can recover the phrase as fast as possible.
I was also wanting to share that remember that this is the period of time in the history of music where the castrati were in fact the ones taking these roles. And remember that besides the great ornamentation and power of the castrati voice, they also had a super powerful fiato. I have read that this was not explicitly a contest, but people expected the singer, in this case the castrati, to go over many measures without actually breathing, which of course tells us that they were very, very well trained singers. Probably not, or certainly not the development of the singing technique that there is now, but certainly they did some sort of work with their diaphragm. I'm not even sure if they use the words diaphragm, the musculation, and all the words that have come later. But no matter how, they were able to manage super long phrases.
Well, we have
The
to be honest
expectation,
and remember that male lungs are larger than females. So that's a reality and we have to face it. But yes, you can train well. And yes, there are some girls that can do it in one breath. So try
like
what
you.
is best for you. I do.
And also, for many people, one of the particularities of this epoch of music is exactly that continuous ornaments, this sort of no, it is not. I wanted to do the comparison with these games. It's not like a carousel because the carousel is just going playing, just making a curve, and it has these small bumps. The exercise in the music is these small bumps and recoveries in the sound, and that's what people like. Sort of a continuous flow of notes and notes and notes, a small pause, and then notes and notes and notes and notes, and that's what somehow captivates the attention of the people, and that's where probably the origin of the word virtuosity came from. That's when you said this is a virtuous singer, because indeed, if you listen to this singer being able to sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 13 groups of notes, these 13 gruppetti, of course, there has to be some virtuosity in this. The capacity to keep your voice is stable in the pitch, attacking each of the notes, even if many of them are repeated, you still are in a continuous flow, attacking one note, going back, attacking one note, attacking, going back, attacking, ta 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 ta. You really need a very precise instrument in order to do this. And with all that in mind, one can easily understand how 300 years ago these audiences of the aristocracy and the kings and the dukes and everybody else would be captured of listening to this kind of music. You knew you were attending something spectacular to your ear, which is still now very spectacular to our ears. But if you don't mind, we can continue because now we have also we need to mention that there is no great, there is not a super text, there is not a, we are not stopping in translating because basically it's rejoice, 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 O daughter of Zion. So not much, not much to explain. It's basically most of the content. It's that our daughter of Jerusalem. That's the change that is coming to now, going to come now. But when one reads these parts, moving to the sea, for instance, uh, he is the right, he is the
Right.
righteous Savior, and he shall speak, passing
Peace.
passing to the, if you look at this without reading the notes, you see that there is some context, some text being conveyed to the audience. I mean, you are passing this message, you are explaining something. Again, not spectacular in height, not many changes in the duration of the notes, more similar to the way one would speak, but in a way, I would say that it can be tiring. People don't know, but sometimes it's easier to just take a note and play around the note, ascending, descending, chopping. Sometimes it's much more lighter than trying to speak because speaking saying words requires changes in the articulation. And those changes in the articulation are tiring. Well, people may not know it, but it's more tiring to be speaking like we're speaking now, that maybe just take a word or take a sound or take an O and start playing with the O, ascending, as I was said, descending, make a trill or do something, because you keep the same sound on that vowel or that sound that you chose, right? But when you say, I am going to do a P, an occlusion of the sound, I'm going to do a T, then I'm going to do a B, then I'm going to do an the whole instrument has to do many other things besides the note and the sounds. That's why these spoken parts have their own difficulties, which I think we have never discussed in the past. It is not a difficulty exclusively in terms of singing on the, yes, on the precision of the note, but I want to refer to how you can get tired of actually singing words. But if you want to add something to this, Katia, I mean, you're the one singing, and you are the guys, you are the girl singing it, so
Yes.
it's more in you.
When we have this kind of parts, and it's not a recitativo, but when you face a recitativo, uh, I think that what have worked the best for me and for my students is to always take care of our spoken voice, and it has to be I don't know if I'm being clear, but in this case, to thee is a God, you Savior. So I'm not feeling that shock between I was singing and now I have to talk, I have to speak. So that makes that I feel more comfortable. So I think it's a very good way to approach to something like that.
Well, I think maybe now that you shared with us that explanation, mm, it might be clear for some people that the what we call impostation I usually call it our natural impostation of speaking because, yeah, if you realize Katya has an impostation for speaking that is very close to the impostation when singing. So there is no actual switch. For the rest of the mortals, who we do have a different impostation, of course, when people know that Katya is an opera singer and you hear her speak, you certainly say, yeah, she clearly is a soprano. She clearly is an opera singer because of how she sounds. But if you get used to immediately, it doesn't surprise you, or you don't expect and you realize there is no change in the quality of the tone when she speaks and when she sings. Of course, much higher when she's singing because she's usually singing high notes. But as I was saying, for the rest of the mortals, and usually that is the case. If you think of Mario del Monaco, for instance, if you have ever heard the voice of Mario del Monaco, you know that he had a very powerful tenor voice. Once singing in the impostation of his singing voice, his voice was super powerful. But if you hear him speaking, he has the voice of a mouse. it's, it's, he has a very horrible voice, to be sincere. And also, to be sincere, most tenors, we have a very horrible spoken voice, to be sincere, which usually changes. And many times it really doesn't change in the horribility, but changes in the quality of the sound when singing. We are not as fortunate as the baritones who have a very beautiful spoken voice. And when you hear them sing, you say, wow, it's as beautiful in the speaking as in it's in singing. The most noticeable change is in the tenors, from a horrible voice to whatever happens when you are singing. But people, yeah, for instance, you're used to hear me speak like this in natural voice. Because if I spoke like this, in a much higher tone, like, so it could sound like I am doing like a recitativo from Il Barbiere di Siviglia or something like that. People would say, what's happening to this guy? Why is he speaking like that? Oh, that's usually the way because, and that is even weird for the ear, but it is healthier for the voice, as Katia just explained, because she has to do a very small change between the way she speaks and the way she sings. But as I am doing now, when you're speaking like this, I'm not going to say your voice, your throat is relaxed. It always has to be relaxed. That's one of the things that they always explain you. But I'm going to say it is in this position, in a given position. And when you're going to sing, you change that position to be ready to sing. This change is different. This position is different, and that's what Katia has explained. She doesn't have this huge gap in what she speaks and in what she sings. Her position for speaking and from singing in a way overlaps, so the change is minimal. But when you do differently, the voice usually gets tired and suffers. So if you're not a singer and you didn't know it, now you know it. It's tiring. Unless you decide to to speak in impostation as Katia.
Well,
Otherwise,
I
you're
didn't
going to get
decide
tired.
to. I didn't. My voice just had her own life and her own decisions, and it was settled like that.
And she said, Katia, you're going to do what I have already decided. That's what your voice
This is the best for
said.
us. Okay, I agree. But it's interesting that I have heard several sopranos, students of mine, and some others are my friends are something like that. And they don't speak like that. They don't speak in impostation. They have changes. And I was like, oh my God, you never studied, you never practiced your spoken voice. I'm really nervous about that. But well,
Well, probably in the case of the of other singers, I was thinking of the other singers. What I have heard other sopranos like to do, they do not speak in impostation, but I would say, like they speak in the protected mode. The protected mode is like a much smaller voice, not exactly girly, but much smaller. Like they trying to contain all the sound here. So let me try to see if I. It's like I want to speak everything softly so that I don't have to push very much. They
But I
start
think that
speaking like this.
but I think that's more exhausting because you are using more hair but not supporting it. So for me, like I said, from my own experience to speak where I sing and to sing where I speak is the most comfortable and health way to have my spoken and singing voice.
I am not going to give the name, but there is a very super famous soprano that usually conducts the intermissions from the Saturday morning broadcasts from the Metropolitan Opera House. But she usually speaks like that when she's interviewing and doing her comments. She's, "Oh, we are very happy to listen or to have everybody at Il Barbiere di Siviglia." Even the laughing is not like like one would expect the voice to be projected. It's like like trying to keep everything still in here, but also for me, it's very unnatural. Uh, I also personally think that is not a very uh, healthy way to do things because I know she might be pretending not to get tired because many of this speaking is tiring, as I was saying. Ta, p, b, m, r, d, all these things tend to tire the voice. So when she says, "Okay, I'm going to do everything softly so that nothing, it is not going to be impacted by no, da, 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 da," it's besides sounding childish and unnatural, I really don't think she's helping her instrument, but that. Well, you look at the intermissions of the of the Metropolitan Opera House, and you will know what singer I am talking about.
Oh my god.
You will certainly know. But let's continue. Uh, you know what
We
I
are
like here? No, no, no. Go ahead.
no no no.
Remember that when the composers like this one, when you don't have this huge music to convey, I mean, the singer is not telling a huge story, they tend to go to having this, mm, I'm going to call it message, call this message, and then repeat the message with variations. That is
Mm.
also very typical. And in the variations, they basically can do whatever they want. So, in this one, as you can realize, in the when she goes for the rejoice again, starts working in the gruppetti without giving her a pause and finishing greatly again, finishing greatly. This time you don't go back to the initial in rejoice. Thanks God she's not going back because the composer has already made her be tired about it. But still, she's not playing or she's not singing, the singer means the soprano, is still not in the most comfortable area of her voice. Comfortable would be a third or a fifth higher for a voice like Katya's.
Really? Yes. An octave.
Probably an octave. Why not? Let's give it a try. But when you are in this area of the voice, and as we explained, I think it was the last episode, the voice is not that naturally crystalline and clear as it is in the highest notes. Because in this area, the mix of the chest and the head is different. And whenever you have chest, there is no purity. That's usually the synonym. Clarity, usually when there is more of the head voice in this mix that we have of the voices, when there is more of the head, the sound is usually clearer, brighter. It can even be like a trumpet. But as you progress towards the area of the chest, it becomes harder to have that level of clarity and agility. And all these agilities are in that area that fight against the clarity. So how do you suggest, Katia, that in this fight, because if you, of them out of the many recordings you saw, I am pretty sure that you noticed that the first four of this gruppetti were difficult for many sopranos, and you could barely hear anything. They had a hard time
Yes,
trying to do it.
yes. Well, I have a very high voice, so for me, the first F, that it's also a recurrent pitch in the score because, oh my God, it's the fifth of the B flat. I hated it, but I tried to hold from the D and think about the progression, how it's increasing in pitch, how it is going higher. Okay, it's not that high, like Olympia or Lacme, but it's near to my comfortable register. So if you can do it fast enough, you don't suffer doing pitch by pitch because that really becomes totally exhausting. If you do like, well, I'm gonna take from Rejoice, 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 Rejoice. If you start to sing like that, like we mentioned at the very first part of the episode, rejoice, to move your throat pitch by pitch really is gonna be a very expensive task to pay when you wrap up. Rejoice! Move your air. Study pitch by pitch, slow, and have very clear the idea of what are you singing, but then try to run the air. Try to make a single phrase as the ligadura is marking on the score. If you really try to sing, don't sing note by note, please. For your own good, don't do that.
For you. And
Yes.
you also were sharing that you had the opportunity of singing this piece in the past. So in front of an audience. Was it the whole Messiah, or was it just a presentation with selected pieces?
Selected pieces, indeed, I saw. Well, it was a sacred music concert because we were in Semana Santa here in Mexico.
Hmm.
And I sang pieces like Yaxet God in All in London, that it will be one of our future episodes too, because it is a very interesting piece of music.
It is. It is.
If
It is.
this
It
is
is.
complicated, the other one is like the triplets. But I love
uh,
it.
I wanted to ask you about that experience. How is it singing? mm, because opposed to my case, you are a religious woman. I am not a
Yep.
religious person. I have mentioned it many times. So for a person that is not religious like me, it's difficult to connect to a message because I don't pursue any religion. Of course, people who are listening us from different religions, they might say, well, my religion doesn't even match this one. But still, you have a point of reference, your own religiosity, right? So, provided that you are a religious person, how does it feel to sing religious music?
Um, I think that it doesn't have to do with my spirituality. Uh, I try to make part of myself everything that I sing. I try to find myself in every score. For example, when I sing Lakme, well, I'm not an Indian girl. And they sing in this case about Vishnu and many different things that Indian people believes. But I think that in every music we can identify ourselves with something. So in this case, well, for example, like me, I have felt attracted by someone, so I take that part. So here in Rejoice, yes, I'm a religious person. So for me, it's not that complicated to connect with the part of speaking about being happy because the Messiah is coming. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to do if I'm a religious person or not. I always try to find myself in the music and to see what of the score can connect with something within me.
Because I think that's part of the reason why, and the recordings we watched prior to this episode, I think that's part of the limitations of those singers that they really didn't connect. They could be saying whatever without really caring about the religious content of what they were doing. So, besides all the things that we have criticized in their technique, one other thing that I really didn't like is that you don't feel the connection of them with what they are doing. And for me, as it is the case, I have insisted many times, if you're singing Verismo, you're expected to be a ton of emotions and yelling and crying and shouting out loud because that's what Verismo demands in your emotions. When you are in bel canto, yes, you're suffering, but you're suffering beautifully, as we have explained in the past. If you're singing religious music, that's something inside the singer projects that content of the religiosity. But if the singer is unable to connect, it could really be anything else without any religious content, and I find it disrespectful to the composer because I, as a composer, gave you a piece of music for a religious number. I know that you want to show all your notes and your breath and the control and blah 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 blah. Yes, but I gave you a religious piece of music. So you singer, be a little respectful and take care of that while you're doing your job. Also something that I have that I would really really love to attend. I would really love to attend the Baroque in this case. Well, mainly Baroque. I would like to attend a Baroque concert in a hall or in a museum. In the case of Mexico, from those constructions that the Spanish conquerors left, the churches, of course, which are many of them in stone and are themselves a piece of art. I mean, singing in those places, despite well, no matter whether you are part of that Christian Catholic religion, the place itself, well, and you are in one of the most cultural capitals of the country. You have plenty of beautiful buildings everywhere that even if you're not of that religion, you enter and you see the altars and you see the original paintings dating 200, 250 years ago. And you say, wow, and having a concert like this in a place like that for me would be simply amazing. I was thinking of another very well-known Mexican soprano whose name I'm not going to give, but who sang in a very, very beautiful one of these places in Mexico, in Coyoacan, a very, very beautiful place. And I felt that when she was singing O mio babino caro, I felt like O mio babino caro, Granada, Traviata. I said, oh, no, no, there is something not working in the repertoire. You're in a
Yeah.
beautiful place like that. I really felt like I know many people felt that it was a very nice venue, a nice place for singing, for the music. I mean, I said, okay, it's a beautiful place, but Verdi and La Traviata are not a place for that. Puccini and Madame Butterfly are not for a place like that. This Rejoice from the Messiah is the place for that.
Sure, it is.
Because, there is something in, of course, the quality. of the space in terms of sound is not great. There is usually echo, or the sound tends to sound dry, or when you want to catch your own sound back so that you see how you're doing, it usually doesn't even come back because of the huge stone construction that is there. So there are difficulties implied there. But you being able to sing this in the middle of paintings, we're speaking of the Baroque in music, but remember that Baroque was also part of, or there is architecture in the Baroque. So being in a Baroque church playing Baroque music is, in my mind, something out of this place.
Yes, I
Irrepeatable.
have.
Great. Go ahead,
Sorry.
sorry. No, you go ahead.
Well, thank you. I had the chance to sing once upon a time, Requiem, the Fore, in a Catholic church. And I mean, it's not Baroque, but it is sacred music. And I sung in Requiem in a church. And well, there is a video in the platform, in the main platform. And still, I hear myself, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so great. Because it sounds really beautiful. It is another atmosphere, and it's very, very beautiful. I'm my fan.
I found a great soprano on YouTube. Oh, it's me.
Oh my God, who is this girl? Now, because we are talking about experiences, and yes, this kind of music in that kind of places, yes, they match.
They really are a match. So hopefully in the future, we can find a way to do something there. But the reason why I refrain personally is because I don't have anything that can be in myself and on my side. I don't have anything that can be played in a place like that because I'm not going to be the guy singing Granada in the middle of a church. Poor
No, no, no.
taste, horrible thing to do. Even if I know many other tenors who have done it in religious places that say, yeah, yeah, sing Júrame, yes, and everybody clapping, yeah, Júrame. That's not the place for singing Júrame, not really.
No, 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 no. I wouldn't be part of that.
Not even part of the audience for sure. Now, as we are we're getting close to the end of this piece of music. Um, it ends in a way that sopranos don't like. Because sopranos are expected to, why can't I have my high E? Why not going for at least a D? Okay, just a C. I mean, there is no wrapping up of the whole piece of music that is spectacular. You basically keep playing with this gruppetti, ascending this effect that they were saying like this and this, and continue, rejoice, rejoice, and then again a small pause for the music to continue, and then attack, go small, 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 small playing, descending, small playing, then stop. The music continues, but it's just that you don't have a super spectacular moment of, yeah, here comes the D flat or the E flat for the soprano, and the soprano is preparing because the soprano doesn't even need to prepare for that. In fact, when it finishes, many people feel like, oh, there is something missing.
What did just happen here?
What comes to your mind? Because if there is something that you like, of course you like your ornamentation, but of course you love your high notes.
Yes.
So how do you feel when you have this beautiful piece of music, but there is no high note to conclude?
Well, I have to be very honest to myself in the first place and with all the audience. If I don't sing a high note, I feel like there's something wrong with this. I think that the purpose of this song and sacred music, it's the text and the content. And yes, because of style, here in Baroque we have lots of ornaments, but it is written with a more spiritual mission that music mission. I don't know if I am being clear.
Well, it is for me now, at least now. Certainly not
Okay,
in the past.
that's the way that I understand this because it is part of the Messiah. So it is written to present in a church or something like that in Christmas because it is an spiritual moment. So you are there to hearing music, but about, in this case, about Jesus. So you are not going to see an opera or a concert where you're going to to pay attention to the singer. I don't know if I'm being clear in my point. So in this case, yes, because it's Baroque, we have many ornaments, but if the voice or the music is not like the most important part of this, as the message is. Anyway, I think that Kathleen Battle found like the perfect balance between respecting the style and the intention and put some higher notes that are not written. And it's the version that I sang when we started the episode. I'm almost respecting the score. There are some higher notes, but they are not sounding like Traviata or Gilda or something like that. They are very part of the style. So I think that in that case, they could be justified. And
Yeah,
I will keep singing it like this
and
because
will
I
continue
like
to do
it.
it basically because I like it and because I can. So, I I think it really depends on the. Mm, I hope I can explain it clearly. Of course, if you have a voice that has a tendency or is easy for a voice to get the high notes, of course you're going to hit them every time it's possible, right? Same way when baritones know I have a very lovely C4, the baritones are going to go for their C4 as many times as they can if they have that note, right? Or anything between the G and the D because they know that's where their voice sounds rich. And every singer will sing whatever they feel more comfortable with. Moreover, at the beginning of each one's careers, when the voice is fresh, super imperfect, but fresh, able to do things that later become difficult. Um, but depending on what you chose to sing, I mean, if you always adhere to, and again, there's going to be thousands of people that are going to hate me for what I am about to say. But if you just go with the flow for the popular of always singing, always Gilda, always Traviata, always Chocho San, always La Boheme, you're going to have that kind of repertoire. You'll never give yourself the opportunity to enjoy a lot more music. Personally, I found that change, provided that unfortunately my voice is of a tenor, because I love to be a bass baritone, because of the very beautiful voices they have. Because to be sincere, I really don't feel so overconfident about the notes of a tenor. I mean, except for sometimes reaching certain notes. Truth is that the voice, except you have the voice of Mario del Monaco, or probably something like that. The truth is that the voices of the tenors in from my perspective are usually not that spectacular. Moreover, when the tenor is not even elegant in their singing. So when I was reading and discovering music from very delicate, uh, comparable composers of Lieder, that's when I found that probably the voice of a tenor could do something interesting. Because waiting for La Gelida Manina for the for the final note and doing the rest without having an elegant wrapping, it's something that I really disliked a lot. But when you know that you can play, like in this case, well, putting apart that Katia has already confessed she loves what Battle added, but putting apart that part, truth is that if you read it, it requires virtuosity, good control of the diaphragm, good control of the pitch, a nice style. So it looks like something you would like to sing, right?
Yes, totally.
Why destroying it with a final note like in think of Vincero. That really doesn't make sense. And there is
No,
always the
totally.
tenor who wants to add a final note just to prove that I can go for that B or whatever the note is written, right? So I found, and now I have, what I like about that is that I now appreciate more this music that is written, I would say, with more, with less spectacularity in the sense of the high note, but more um, elegant and perfect in terms of music. So you would ask yourself, why does Ricardo keep saying that La Donna Mobile is vulgar? Is vulgar? I find it vulgar because it is vulgar.
Because it
It's that
is.
simple. Because it is. Why did I get enthusiastic about Luce Van Lestelle? Because for me, it's a very simplistic. I know that it may sound at pieces, but it really doesn't feel the soul, if you ask me. It really doesn't feel the soul of an artist. But when I look at this music, I get interested and I see and I look at how you go for the Rejoyce, and you keep in your mind what the accompaniment is being, and you really find yourself saying greatly, wrapping up like that, being followed by the wrapping of the music, and that now I love more. But
Yeah.
that is something very very personal. That's why I find that all this repertoire would be very interesting if instead of young singers we taught, because and I detest that, and I think Katya you find it even more often than me because you deal with students and with other singers very often, that the only they care about is if they will be able to reach the B in Nessun Dorma. They don't care about anything else. Okay, and Nessun Dorma is all about the B, and a Gelida Manina all about the C, and the Dicuela Pira all about the C. And so they are losing the opportunity, and the teachers are losing the opportunity of teaching the students to do something more. People are going to detest me, but I'm going to say it anyway. Something that is more artistically speaking, more valuable
And more descent.
and more distant. Yeah, by the way, more distant. Because if the only dream you have is to sing Nessun Dorma, I really believe you're spoiling your life. Nessun Dorma might be good for calling people, but when are you going to give yourself time to study things like this? That moment when you say, because when you finish with the and you exaggerate, not only you exaggerate the because you want people to see that you can keep sustaining the raw for longer. But let's be sincere, that's horrible.
Yes,
Super
indeed.
horrible thing. Well, when I would like to hear more singers going for this kind of repertoire, as we have also said, Mozart that demands your precision all the time, and that Maestro Mozart doesn't always give you your super final note, but in the middle gives you complexity, enough complexity for you to study enough.
Yes.
I
My sorry, I want to share something. My teacher once told me that to yell is the easiest part of singing because it is like a wild horse that can run fast and powerfully. And it's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But to do something like that, it's like to have a high school horse that can do graces and dances, and that's another kind and level of control.
I fully agree with that comment. I think
I
it's a
love my teacher.
really when you are young and you have the complete use because even if you don't have a well trained voice, it is going to be very likely if you're a tenor that you're going to reach the high C. Very likely. Probably you're going to commit some mistakes before you actually go for the C, but people are waiting for the C, right? Because your voice is young, your voice is naturally higher because also as we grow older, the center of the voice tends to go lower. So that's why the older you get, the more difficult it is to reach the high C because the high C remains here, but the center of your voice keeps descending. So that's why it becomes difficult. And when you're young, your voice is naturally high. So to reach the high C, it's much easier. So, but if the only thing you can do is to go for the high C, that's why you hear me insisting on why do I detest the from La Fille du Régiment? Why do I detest the aria for the tenor? It has five high Cs. Yeah, it has five, but they are horrible. It's musically poor. Even it is like a, we call in Spanish like a sonsonete. It is exactly what it does. Oh, of course, you know, in an imposted voice that I am ridiculizing, but that's what this aria is about. There is nothing elegant in that one. And I also think that maybe Maestro Donizetti did it to make fun of the tenor, because you really can't be proud of
Probably.
something like that. And I really hope we haven't had, and it will never be enough programs. We will never have enough programs of from the Baroque. But I really wish that if we can touch the musicality or the sense of artistry in people who listen to us around the world and somehow say, I'm going to give a chance. I'm going to look for that material that Katia mentioned. I'm going to see how battle goes around the Baroque. I'm going to find other singers who go for Baroque. That would be our mission accomplished. We have mentioned in the past, and by the way, before I forget, we are reaching now 1,526 cities in the world. So somewhere, if somebody in those many cities really feels touched of interest to, I'm going to listen to this type of music, our mission is accomplished. Fortunately, we have constructed these rows. I have discussed it many times with Katia. We have constructed these rows of opera we love singing without adhering to what everybody's saying. And what everybody's saying? Everybody's talking about Callas, everybody's talking about Domingo, everybody's going to talk about the high C, everybody's going to talk about is talking about the Queen of the Night. And without talking about
There's
those,
nothing wrong with the Queen of the Night, by the way.
if it is the first aria, remember the first aria. People always forget the first aria of the Queen of the Night. But that's all the music they learn, and they listen to programs who only talk about that. You're not even growing as an audience, which is very sad. So I wanted to use these couple of minutes to again thank you for being this loyal to us. We are over 4 years, and really 1,526 cities. It's just a huge number that we really appreciate. And I also admire yourselves for following us. We will close this year, I think, having produced over 200 episodes, which is also a lot. So that was my, let's say, my commercial, my spot, my comment in between. But from yourself, Katya, would you like to add something about this rejoice? Something that you would like to add before we wrap up?
Yes, give yourself a chance to do something different, be different, don't do whatever that the rest of the people is doing just because the most of them do it. Try to sing this. I think that it is worth it, but respect it, approach it correctly, and if you don't sing but you just listen, give it the chance to explore, to know something beyond and expand your horizons.
And to wrap up now, something else that you would like to sing from this
I
very
will sing
beautiful composition?
I will sing the end again.
And why not? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because it is beautiful.
It is. It certainly is. Yeah.
Because I can come unto thee, rejoice, rejoice, shout, 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 rejoice, rejoice, little daughter of Zion, shout, Jerusalem, behold thy King, come to thee, to thee.
You can follow our channel for the latest updates and more content. Opera will love singing, in just one word. Link in the description of the episode.